Is Dale Smothers, CEO of RDS Wealth Management. Dale, good to see you again. So Trump's tariff threats made Canada and Mexico cave quickly because they need more of our goods than we need from them. But when it comes to China, the trade imbalance is bigger, right? The U.S. imports far more than it exports over there. Given this dependency, how much leverage do you think we really have with these tariffs on China?
Alicia, good to see you. I think we've got more leverage than we realize. And if there is one person in the room that realizes that, it is President Trump. You know, he started this trade war in 2018, and he put policies into place that was kept in place by the next administration because they saw it as a good thing for America. Our trade deficit since the start of the trade war has went from over $400 billion in 2018 to now under $300 billion. Still a very significant trade deficit. It's the largest of any country that we have, and we definitely are in danger when we have the largest trade deficit with a country who has a completely opposing worldview, and a lot of that trade deficit is goods that are being shipped into us that are just ripped off and duplicated copies and versions of things that our hard-earned American dollars have went to produce. You know, we've got a patent system here in America, and China does not respect that. They're turning around, employing slave labor, and then giving it back to us for cheaper. And in reality, this is a bad thing for American businesses to have such a large trade deficit with a country like China.
Yeah, this is how they play, right? The communist country, they're hitting back with tariffs. They're hitting back with tariffs on U.S. energy, farm equipment, cars. You said this trade war before. You said this trade war could bring some short-term pain for long-term gain. How soon do you think Americans could feel the impact in their wallets?
I think they feel it almost immediately. A lot of what we're seeing right now, Alicia, is more of a shot over the bow than a shot at our ship at this point. You know, if they really want to attack an American business, they can put a lot of just blanketed tariffs across anything Apple related. Apple is a company that depends a lot on China's imports. Of course, China's exporting them to Apple, and then we are, in essence, making Apple pay a tariff when they receive it here. God forbid that they even blacklist a company like Apple. That would create a lot of earnings issues in a company like Apple, and it would pass on a lot of these expenses that Apple may incur to a consumer of those types of products. In short, it would mean a massive amount of inflation passed on to the consumer in America, and I think that could happen quickly if cooler heads don't prevail.
Yeah, well, you can't put a price tag on lives, and that's what the whole point of this tariffs is to save lives in America. And beyond the economy, the trade war, some call it actually a drug war, raises national security concerns. During the pandemic, the U.S. was alarmingly dependent on China for pharmaceuticals, and now Beijing is restricting exports of critical minerals used in tech, clean energy, defense. How dangerous is this dependence, and could it finally push companies to move production back to the U.S.?
You are so dead on with that. We depend far too much on China's imports to be a thriving country, and I think it's important. It's the common sense approach that if we depend solely on a country to be successful in this world, to be our dominant self that America has always been, if we depend solely on a country that has a completely opposite worldview, it makes a lot of sense to revisit that trade contract. This is what Donald Trump is doing. He started it in 2018, and he will continue to push forward. The leverage we have, it seems that Donald Trump is the only one that's ever leaned on that leverage since China joined the World Trade Organization back in 2001. Our deficit has continued to grow and, again, got to a record number of $418 billion per year. That is a staggering number, and it could easily derail our progression as we go forward. It's the second largest economy, China is, in the world, and they can certainly do a little bit better job of honoring our patents, making sure that American businesses are benefited from the hard-earned work that they have done. And if they don't, I do believe they're going to see businesses pull out of China altogether. It started happening in 2018. If you look at Mexico's deficit, since 2018, it has actually doubled since 2018 because countries left companies rather left a country like China and moved production to Mexico. I think what Donald Trump is trying to get these countries to do is to be benefited significantly by having their organization planted right here in the good old US of A.
That's
and
right.
then as consumers, we have to be okay paying just a little bit more perhaps to make sure that America is number one.
Yeah, that's your short-term pain, long-term gain. Dale Smothers,
That's exactly
always
right.
great to have you. Great insight as always. CEO of RDS Wealth Management. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Alicia.